Long time no see. The last episode was 2 months. Welcome to another Conversations Abroad. I'm here with my two trusty guys. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Wes Batista.
Josue.
And today we're going to talk about a pretty good conversation or a topic that came from this wonderful app that takes up all my time, TikTok. And this episode is based on the hookup culture. There was this one young lady, and I'm going to play the video, but this one young lady, she talks about how she does not hook up sexually or have sex with somebody without getting to know them, or how dating and having sex is actually bad. And we live in a generation where people are, or couples, they're having sex with different partners as much as they could. And what Gen Zs or today's generation is noticing is that it's actually bad for the person. She makes some wonderful points that it's a spiritual connection. But let's get right into it. What do you guys think about this young lady and coming up with this outcome?
So this is why I don't do hookups. During intercourse, your brain releases oxytocin, which makes you subconsciously bond with your partner.
All love to this creator. She's 100% right. I just wanted to point out we Christians have been saying this for 2,000 years.
She is 1,001,000,000,000% correct. One thing actually, growing up, my pastor growing up used to tell me, he goes, Wes, you shouldn't look to start dating unless you're ready to get married. And I'm like, what? I never understood him till obviously I started dating, and then until I got married. And his point was that unless you're ready to, because get into adult things, or what he was saying was unless you're ready, or you're able to sustain yourself financially, or you have a job and you're able to do things as an adult, then that will qualify as you ready to get married. But for me, I'm in high school, and I'm like, no, I just want to have a girlfriend. I want to do whatever. But obviously, when you want to just hook up, you're doing grown up things, right? So, given that, so I think what he was trying to say is that obviously, you want to do these grown up things, but you're not acting like a grown up. You only want to do these grown up things in this little box here. But until you're ready, you can sustain yourself. God forbid, imagine what had a baby out of wedlock at 14 years old. Now, then what? You know what I mean?
One of the big things that she's saying is, what I like about it is she's talking about science, right? So she's using science as the key point. Oh, scientifically it shows that you bond with the person, and your brain gives off these things. But I love what the guy says following her, like, yo, Christian's been saying this for 2,000 years. So like at the end of the day, it's in scripture, and it talks about this kind of stuff, and it says, two will become one, and a man will leave his home and his mom and father and become one with his wife. So it's like, God designed sex, but he designed it for marriage, and we see that, and it wasn't just to procreate. I know some people think that sex is just for procreation, but no, God designed it to for the husband and the wife to become one, for the husband and the wife to have that bond. And when you're doing it with different people and different partners, then you're giving a piece of yourself to these different individuals, and it's almost like you're losing your identity in these individuals, and vice versa. You're collecting, DNA and pieces of other people, and your their baggage and their troubles and their mental issues, and you're almost becoming this bucket full of everyone's junk, and that's it. Where it's supposed to be something holy and beautiful, it becomes something tainted and ugly. And so I feel like that's what she's doing it in more the scientific side of it, but the godly side of it is that it messes not just physically, not just emotionally, but also spiritually as well.
Yeah, so I think it was interesting. I think it was from her. I'm not exactly sure if it was from her or him, but when I looked into the video, someone said that it's no wonder why there's so much emotional baggage after having those multiple partners. That's why you have those trust issues and you have intimacy issues, because at the end of the day, every single time that you give yourself or you have someone have you that intimate moment where they see you without your clothing, it's no longer special anymore. And what that tends to do is that tends to cheapen you, and it gives you a bad perception of what men really think about you. And at the end of the day, when you hold yourself to marriage, and I'm not a perfect individual. I did not come to marriage clean or celibate. I had there was a time in my age where I was not following God. But what I realized was that having God in my life, that was the true love. And like she said, and like Josue said, and like Wesley said, that the scientific community, that they're catching on later, but this is something that God knew. Why? Because he created us and he knew better. And it's a lot better for God to teach us by just saying, no, don't do it, than rather than learning the hard way.
Yeah. So to that point of the baggage, I believe both of you also touched upon it, Janice. From what I learned from my pastor growing up, he was saying, what you want to do is, he was like, Wes, what you want to do is that if you save yourself for marriage, when you and your wife finally get together and you have sex or you make love, you're creating something unique that no one else has. Only you and your wife will have. Because you didn't go out and create something with somebody else, you create baggage with other people, and you're bringing it into your bedroom. I'll give it now. I'm not trying, like our Janice was saying, I'm not trying to say that we're perfect. No one's perfect. However, obviously that's why the blood of Christ is there. But the benefits of just being able of waiting till marriage, or this hookup culture, and this is what that young man is saying. We've been saying this for so long, and that's why you should always save yourself for marriage, because you're gonna rid yourself of all those headaches that you experience. It's because you will create something very unique that only you and your wife, your significant other will have.
Amen. Those watching, if you're not married yet, that you understand the purity of it, and the blessing that it comes from waiting. I know that I find myself blessed that I know that my wife waited. Like our Janice, unfortunately, I wasn't a Christian my whole life, and when I came to the Lord, I had already messed up. And when looking back, I if I could go back in time and I can choose to come into my marriage without experience, I would do that. I would rather that and learn with my wife together, because it's just it's a beautiful thing. It becomes holy. You see the difference. I know the difference between having sex, but it being a holy time, and versus it being fleshy or lustfulness, and what happens with that, with the lustfulness and with, sex outside of marriage, is that it's never enough. It's never enough. So whether it's not enough with that girl, or you either want another one, or you want to do more stuff, or you start lying to get it. You start cheating, doing different things. Like when I did it, I was in high school and I used to play hooky, and cut school. I was lying to my mom, keeping things from my mother. So it wasn't just a one sinful act. That one sinful act was leading to so many other sins that were going. And then we obviously have in this world, that because so many are hooking up, then not just baggage, but let's talk about STDs. Right? They run rampant. And our young adults today in college, if you did a survey, I'm not going to say a specific number because I don't know, but I'm sure the rating is high of the sexual transmitted diseases. Then it leads to getting pregnant, and then you have abortions. Oh, we can always have an abortion. That's a whole nother topic for another day. But then it leads to that. Oh, well, you know what? I'm not ready. Like you said, I'm not acting like an adult. I'm not ready for these adult decisions. So you know what? Let me just kill this baby. It's this snowball effect. So much could come out of it that's negative versus like waiting for marriage.
Yeah. A few things pop up in my head. Actually, two things pop up in my head is that, science and the way politicians and the educational system, they always put in the forefront that we need to teach about sex. We need to put this in our education. And Christians has been mentioning about celibacy, but how come the educational system or institutions, they never use celibacy as a way of protecting ourselves? STDs by physical, biological harm, and also just emotional, and also and if you're a Christian or if you're spiritual in one way, a spiritual form. And that's the one thing I love about this generation's talk about, is that they're bringing up the spiritual realm. They're bringing up the spiritual discussion. We're more than just meat with brains on and intelligent beings. we are spiritually, and we're created by God, and there's something that we don't see with our own eyes, and that's why it's so important to have God in our relationship, because you want to make sure you choose that right individual. You don't know if that individual is good for you or not. That's why courting and spending time and being a friend with that person is so important. And then how do you know if that relationship would last? You put it on front of the altar and you present it in front of God because you prayed for that individual for you. That's the best way you could try to find success in your marriage. And I realize that in Christianity, there's a lot of divorce, but how many of us are truly Christians, that we're truly living a spirit-filled life? And the second part that I want to bring up is the hookup culture. You have an application or social media called Tinder, and with this hookup generation with Tinder, now it's so easy to just have cheap sex. You literally find someone on your social media app, and you find an individual, and you both are interested in having sex. And I was listening to a podcast, Joe Rogan podcast, Bill Moore. He said that literally this girl, she talked about her experience on Tinder. When they finished just hooking up, once she was putting on her clothes, the man that just had sex with her is on Tinder looking for a different person. How cheap do you gotta feel when you've given that person what he wanted, and that next second he has not had enough? Sex is like food. You can never have enough. And having sex with different multiple partners is like gluttony.
It's interesting because in the video, in the TikTok video, the girl says, it releases these endorphins, and it's like a drug. You know what I mean? It's like a drug because you want to feel that feeling again. So you're kind of like going down a rabbit hole and trying to find. You got Tinder. Think about it. Mainstream or just culture or consumerism or whatever it is, whatever's being sold to you is sex. So how does courting look like in as a Christian, right? You know what I'm saying? Because it's very hard. You're like, you're a young adult, you're chilling, you're going to school. Everything around you is sex on social media. Everything around you could be fake, could be real, whatever. But what's being presented to you is the easy way. You follow what I'm saying? Courting is very difficult. However, it's the most rewarding. I always have a saying that I kind of like live by is quick money goes fast, right? Because if you sell that drug money, it'll go fast because either you get caught or something happens. But if you earn money the hard way, it's money learned and earned, and you know how to duplicate it. You know how to use it as a tool. But in this case, it's what does courting look like? That's my question. What does courting look like to a Christian?
Thank you for watching another episode of Conversations Abroad. If you want to see our previous episodes, you can click on the thumbnail. If you want to see future content on what we provide, you can click on the subscribe button, hit the bell for further notification. Thank you for watching.